So, you're a business owner dedicated to the significant and sustainable growth of both you and your business. Welcome to the Add a Zero podcast.
Hi, Jay Allen from My True North. Welcome to the Add a Zero podcast, where we support conscientious business owners to be able to grow, scale, and exit successfully. And today, we're talking all around strategy. Now, what do I mean by strategy, and which part of it are we going to explore today? The simple fact is that our research, gathered over the last 10 years or so now, from well over 100,000 different businesses, clearly shows that business owners still get trapped in the business. They are still pivotal to everything that's happening. They've got finger in so many different pies, sometimes even still a primary fee earner in the business. And it's causing such a bottleneck because of their inability to be able to spend designated time working on the business rather than just in the business. Sound familiar? You know that I'll be the first in and last to leave. I'll be the open door policy that anyone's allowed to come in and ask for some help and support. All of these are great advocates and great accolades to being seen as a great boss, but to the same extent, at what cost? So today, I want to understand how to be able to make yourself redundant, to be able to step away from the business and to allow it to continue to grow and evolve and develop without you being present. Just out of curiosity, when was the last time you took a holiday? And what I mean by that is not just, a week away in Spain or wherever it is that you choose to visit these days. I'm talking about time off. No mobile phone, no connectivity, just you and nature and doing whatever it is that you do, either with the family or on your own. But when was the last time that you segmented yourself from the business so significantly that you weren't available? You weren't at the end of a phone or a WhatsApp or a Trello or some form of Slack group or a means of other people being able to connect with you. When was the last time that you disconnected from the business? And then I guess the following question is, and how long could you afford to do that for before the business was impacted by your lack of presence? Could you take a day off? Could you take a week off? What would happen if you took a month or possibly even longer than a month completely detached from the business? Will people still get paid on time? Will people still have access to the accounts? Will bills get paid? Will invoices still be collected? Will the invoice value be impacted by you not being available within the business? And invariably, the answer is no. You see, it's not about the cost of the holiday. It's usually the cost of not being available to the business whilst you're on holiday, which is the biggest concerns to business owners. It's not about spending £2,000 or £3,000 for a weekend away. It's about the £6,000 or £10,000 or £20,000 worth of impact that's likely to have on the business by you not being present, which often means that you are tied to the business, even at the end of a phone. Well, Jay, I've got a summer house in Portugal. I go out there at least once every 6 or 7 weeks. Great. And I can guarantee that your laptop's on from 8 till 6, the phone's on call, and at a moment's notice, you're breaking away from a game of golf to be able to answer that phone. You get the drift. The simple fact is that as a business owner, although the buck stops with us, we've got to be willing to be able to pass that buck on in order for the business to continue to evolve and grow and develop without us being present. Because if we can't, or until we can do that, not just mid-term or short-term, but longer term, then in actual fact, longer term still, when we are looking towards exiting the business, that reliance on you will have a massive and profound impact on sales value for the business. Listen, I want to share with you that my job as a scale and exit mentor is to be able to support you as the business owner to be able to grow, scale, and eventually successfully exit the business. What do I mean by that? What would you do if I told you that 72% of businesses end up closing or not selling successfully because they don't have a succession plan in place that's been tested and known to be working? It doesn't matter whether you want to leave today or in a week or a month or a year or 10 years' time. It doesn't matter whether you're just starting out in business now and the thought of leaving is the furthest from your mind. The simple fact is that if you are building a sustainable business, at some stage, it needs to continue beyond your involvement. This is not just about being able to put cash in your back pocket. This is about being able to build a sustainable, scalable business. And the moment that you've taken on the first employee, I genuinely believe that we have a moral duty to enable them to have a career beyond our paycheck. That their job isn't so reliant on us being there that the moment that we stop, their career stops. It's about being able to forge a growing business that continues to grow whether we're in it or not. And the sooner and quicker we can move from being the business operator, the person that's running the business, to becoming the business owner, the person that is overseeing the running of the business, then we can evolve into a business leader that's willing to be able to step away and allow the business to continue to grow and evolve and develop without us being present. I recall a number of years ago now, with my first business, we'd already done the turnaround after the demise of Woolworths and us being a supplier to them. We'd learned some lessons and I was back on the trajectory, pushing forwards to being able to grow and evolve the business. But with lessons learned, some of the most valuable lessons I'd taken from that, and we mentioned that in last week's episode, some of the most valuable lessons for that determined that I needed to become a different owner, manager, leader in order that we didn't make the same mistakes again. And as a result of that, I did business differently. Rather than me being the owner and almost micromanaging, although I hate that word, all overseeing every single element of it, I quickly learned the importance of being able to delegate responsibility, to allocate responsibility, to be able to make other people in the business champions of, in order for the business to continue to have evolution, to grow and develop without me spending time within it. And I'll never forget one particular Christmas, we'd just won the Federation Entrepreneur of the Year, Federation of Small Businesses Entrepreneur of the Year North East Award, where the business was based at the time. And I've been interviewed by the Federation of Small Businesses, by the regional chairman at one of their AGM event meetings, talking about the growth and development of my first business. And a dear friend of mine, somebody I've been networking with for 15, 16 months, I guess, by then. He was a good 20 years older than me, and he came along and I thought he was going to shake my hand and congratulate me. And yet, when our hands clasped, the first thing he did is take a big, hard squeeze, and he looked directly into my eyes and he said, "What's your secret, lad? I've been in this game for 20 odd years, almost 30 years. You've only been around the block 5 minutes, and you've gone from here to here. What's the secret, lad?" Well, he was a lovely chap, and I made a kind offer. I said, "Listen, I can't give you any guidance and advice from simply sitting and chatting about it over a pint in the pub. The best thing I could possibly do is to come along and understand what you've got already going on in place and have a look and perhaps just give you a tip or two from an outside perspective. Why don't we agree to meet in January?" This was just prior to Christmas. "Why don't we agree to meet in January and I'll have a conversation, I'll have a quick look around and tell you if there's anything that I've spotted that perhaps you might want to consider doing differently." "All right, lad, you're on." So I contacted my office, and Sharon was my office manager at the time. And I said to Sharon, listen, I'm going to go and do a favour for a friend in the new year. I want you to be able to run things for a week or so whilst I'm off with a friend, and give me a ring as and when you need me, and I'll come back into the business. But for the first couple of weeks or so, I'm not going to be available. I'm going to go and help a friend. Perfect. So sure enough, come New Year, and I got a text message on the 1st of January. Right, lad, when are you coming? And we made arrangements, and I went across and I met with him in his business to be able to have a little look round, to have a review. And don't get me wrong, from the outside perspective, things were going particularly well. There were a £500,000-ish turnover business. It got 2 or 3 lads working for him. It got a small warehouse and an office block, a small office being able to, and they were in the buying and selling business. They were in the import-export business in their industry. From the outside world, things looked okay. They got a good website, they got somebody answering the phones, they were receiving goods in, they were shipping stuff out, they were making some money, invoices were going out, payments were coming in. It looked okay. But it didn't take long for me to realise that every decision was being made by the managing director, that none of the staff had any systems or processes in place, that at a moment's notice, if anything was to happen that was either different or challenging or not what was expected, rather than having a process to follow, the whole thing would almost stop and say, can you help us, boss? What do we do about this? And what do we do about that? And what do we... For the week or so I was there, I watched as he answered over 100 phone calls from suppliers and transport and finance and marketing and PR and networking, and everything relied on him. And the moment he stopped, and quite frankly, I can't understand at his age as to how he was able to continue going at the rate that he was going, but the moment that he stopped, the whole thing quickly fell apart. There was about 4 or 5 hours of a period of time where things could run smoothly before the next phone call and before the next challenge he was facing. He was in his business for 15, 16, 17, sometimes 18 hours a day just to be able to keep on top of everything. And as a result of that, they bottlenecked at around £500,000 turnover. It was very evident that one of the things that they needed was what I call a business Bible, a standard operating procedures of understanding what to do and when to do and how to do and who to do that other people could follow, that would allow him to step out of working in the business and work on the business. So we set about being able to determine as to what our marketing strategy was, what our sales strategy was, what our operational functionality was, what our finance terms were, and start to put some structure into the business. And what happened? We saw over £700,000 worth of additional revenue generate in the next 12 months as a direct result of being able to remove the bottleneck, the business owner, from being the linchpin in the business, and allow and enable other people to start taking on other responsibilities that freed him up to do the more strategic work that was needed to be able to grow and evolve the business. Just think about that for a second. £500,000 turnover to 1.26 million turnover in 12 months, just by being able to remove the business owner from being so involved in doing the business and having systems and processes in place, enabling other people to do the business whilst the owner was able to grow and evolve and develop and build relationships and take on a more strategic role. What would that do for your business if we were able to do the same for yourself? And that, ironically, is almost the essence of what Adazero is there to do. To be able to have an external look at the business, to be able to give some guidance and advice with regards to what's going well and what you might consider doing differently in order to be able to make seismic changes that enable transformation on the outside. What are you currently stuck doing? Where are you the bottleneck within your own business? And what will happen when you get out of your own way? Hope you found that of use. God bless, take care. I'll see you again next week.
That's all for this episode. As always, we really thank you for listening and welcome your comments, thoughts, and suggestions. So please do drop us a line by emailing podcast@mytruenorth.biz. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you're listening to this through. And tell your colleagues and business network all about who we are. You've been listening to the Add a Zero podcast presented by Jay Allen. Brought to you in association with My True North, the UK's leading ethical coaching company.